So welcome back, and we are discussing organic evolution in the context of understanding how genetic algorithm functions, right? By the way, genetic algorithm is an optimization tool, and it's very much a tool in machine learning or soft computing, and you should use it when all other tools, existing optimization tools, fails. So in that context, how genetic algorithm works, we are trying to understand genetics a little bit, right? So Mendel actually gave the first idea when there was no concept of gene, DNA, all kind of thing, right? So even then, he first gave the idea how the character transmit from one generation to another generation, right? So you see, Lamarck tried to explain how evolution takes place, but he was wrong that acquired character, normally acquired character, physical acquired character does not transmit to the offspring. Okay, so that is just recapitulation. Rats cutting tail of rats will not give birth a rat whose tail will be cut automatically, or a muscle man's kids will not be will be born muscle very healthy, right? Uh, and that shows he was wrong, right? The physical changes will never transmit to the offspring unless something happens in the genetic material, right? So in case of flower, it is pollen, and in case of you see, so he experimented with green peas, two kind of peas, tall, dwarf, tall, short. Okay? So he cross-pollinated. Say, tall character is this is the character. At that time, it was known like that. They're represented by capital T, tall, and this is dwarf or short. So when so this is body cell, right? And we'll talk about that. And in the genetic cell, which is pollen, it will be halved. Okay, why it will be halved? So that after fusion, again it can regain the total number of character. Okay, so this is the pollen. Now if you are cross pollinating between this and this, so then between this and this, so out of this character, tall and dwarf character, so say in F1 generation, all he observed that all characters are actually tall. Then he postulated that okay, out of two characters, tall and dwarf, always one character is called dominant character, which will be expressed in the next generation. Another is called recessive character, which will not be expressed in the immediate generation, but it will remain in the species, so that it can actually means evolve in some other generation, right? And of course, being a pea, and you can cross-pollinate between this self cross-pollination takes place. So in the first generation, you will get um, tall, pure tall, heterogeneous tall, and maybe pure dwarf if pollination is taking place between them. Okay, pollination is taking place between them. So this was his observation, and he experimented it, and he observed that all after in the first generation, when cross pollination took place between tall and dwarf, all were tall, and he immediately concluded that tall character is dominant character and dwarf character is recessive character. Now in the second generation, okay, so what you have, this kind of thing you have. Then so in the pollen you will get this kind of character. This is pure tall. this is pure dwarf. And now there is a possibility you can see that if this again cross-pollinates between this again, so this again, this again, this again, this. So this is random, right? You do not know who is going to fertilize which pollen, right? Every possibilities are there. And what will be the generation 2 character he could observe, and just I am going to explain. You see, this will be again tall, this will be purely dwarf, this will be again pure tall. So there will be ratio, right? That many, if I have a recessive dominant character, so that many dominant character will be expressed in the second generation, and that many recessive character will be expressed in the second generation. So he quantified it with his experiment, and this is simple experiment, but a little bit more complicated experiment, which also he did to and quantified his theory, is actually explained here. Mendelism, you see, you have generation, generation, you have round and yellow sepate P, and you have wrinkled and green sepate P. Okay, these are the two character now he experimented with. One is round, pure round, R, capital R, capital R. Okay, so these are called gametes. So at that time there was no concept of gene, DNA, all kind of thing, right? So he explained it with the form of gamete. Gamete means the pollen, right? So R, capital Y. This is pure round and yellow. Okay, and this is pure wrinkle and green. Now, if cross pollination takes place, then what is going to happen? Capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. So round yellow will happen because capital character are actually dominant character, the way he performed the experiment, right? So all in the first generation, all will be round sepate and yellow. However, you see their heterogeneous characters are there, right? Then self-pollinating them, you see, so these are called gametes. Okay, so this can translate to this kind of gametes, right? Capital R, capital Y, then small r, small y, small y, then small r, capital Y, small r, capital Y, and capital R, small y. All possibilities are there, and randomness is there, and then all kind of, so this is the encoded form. Okay, so you will get the gamete with this. And similarly, another, this is by the way male, this is female symbol. Female gametes are also same. Okay, and then you are cross-pollinating them. This and this will give birth capital R, capital Y, capital, pure yellow and round sepate. Then when this is, so this first this column will be this into this, this into this, this into this. Okay, R, Y, this into this. Clear? Similarly, you see the second one. So this one can be crossed with this one can be crossed with this one, this can be crossed, this can be crossed with this one, this can be crossed with this one, and the second row you will get, right? R, Y, then R, Y, then capital R, small r, Y, so capital Y, and it's clear, right? So this with this give birth to this row, this with all this give birth to this row. So this with all these possibilities will give birth to this, and this with all this will give birth to this. So if you see in this second generation, round yellow 9, round green 3, wrinkled yellow 3, and wrinkled green 1. So this is the ratio of transmission of the character or so this is the way hereditary, we call now hereditary, the character will propagate from generation to generation. Okay? As you know, then Victor Hugo told that the things are very quick. So they are contemporary actually. Hugo de Vries actually is younger than Mendel, so 1935. So he could see more sophisticated scientific tools. Okay, and there is a concept called, so he brought the concept of mutation, that is sudden, random and directionless changes which takes place, and which explains why the species coexist. I mean, from one to another one to another one, it's not gradual. The one which remains still remain, and that concept is called ontogeny repeats phylogeny. When a species evolved from some other species, in some stage of the development, it tries to retain that character. You see here, this is the fetus of man, this is rabbit, this is chick, tortoise, salamander, and fish. So you see, in some stage, see all fish, salamander, tortoise, chick, and rabbit, and man, similar, right? So they have gill slit, which is characteristic feature of fish in an adult fish. But in some phase of their life, okay, this may be 1 month or 2 months old, all are similar, and gradually you see the differences between the species, altogether different, right? So it shows that somewhere down the line mutation took place. That's why maybe fish to salamander came, then salamander from somewhere tortoise came, and they are distinctly different, but they are not forgetting their past. Okay, so that is the concept of ontogeny repeats phylogeny. So let us now explain. So you know now De Vries theory and Mendelism from there, right? You know how organic evolution takes place and how character actually transmitted from one generation to another generation. Now there is a concept called chromosome, which is more modern, and in case of human, we have 23 pairs. Okay, but genetic algorithm, we can design the chromosome as per our desire, but in natural evolution, it cannot be, right? So if anything but 23 pairs, then it will not be human being anymore. Okay, so chromosome looks like this. Okay, so where it resides, you know, this is a cell, this is cell 3D structure, this is nucleus. Inside the nucleus, you see these are the chromosomes, structure like this. So this is biological chromosome, this is digital chromosome. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is again our design. We will talk about that. 8-bit chromosome. It can be 4-bit, it can be 8-bit, it can be 16-bit, it can be 32-bit. More number of bits of chromosome you design, more computationally expensive it will be, more precise maybe the solution will be. But just try to understand now biological chromosomes. Okay, we have exactly 23. That is 46 chromosomes. Okay, they are just like our playing cards, and you supple, resupple, all kind of thing you do, and these are actually our offspring. So we are only gifted by nature 23 pairs, right? So how it happens, you know? So there are two kinds of cell division. When a baby is born, the body cells, the mitosis takes place in the body cell, and the genetic cell, which is egg or sperm, there another kind of cell division takes place, meiosis. Okay, and meiosis job is very interesting. We are not going into detail, so they are very they are the class 12 level. You know all this, right? So in the meiosis, there are certain stages where the tearing of the chromosome takes place. They needed to be halved, right? So if adult has 2n, 2n equal to 46, then our egg and sperm has to have half of the chromosome, so that when they will meet, fertilization will take place, and zygote will be formed, and mitosis will give birth to a juvenile, right? This baby will have again 23 pairs or 46 to ensure that this meiosis, the half of the um, chromosomes division takes place. It's a beautiful Mother Nature's way of um, designing this thing, no? And just a small note: in case of female, we have capital X, female, and egg is capital X only, and male XY, heterogeneous, right? And it is so X, and so you see, then sperm has a vein, so there could be now, so XY, and then in the sperm you can have X, you can have Y, this is male, and this is female. They have pure X and X, okay, and then they have eggs, only pure XX. Now you see, when this and this fertilizes, then you get a baby boy, and then if this and this fertilizes, then you get a baby girl. So you see, this is the way our male-female baby boy or girl appears, okay? And you see, I don't know, in a developing nation like ours and in some African nations, still the girl child actually is a curse on civilization, I should say. The many part of the world, female pesticides is there, means killing of girl children inside the mother, inside the womb, sex determination, all kind of things is happening. They are very, very unfortunate, and I should say shameful for the civilization. But if you see, and they always blame to the female, right? In my small knowledge, of course, there are things are not that simple. You see, in my small knowledge, if somebody has to blame, it has to be blamed to the male, because male only can determine, is giving two kind of sperm, right? X and Y. So if X and female only can give X, eggs, right? So it is because of this guy who will be male or female will be determined. If X sperm fertilizes X, then it will be female. If Y sperm fertilizes X, will be male. Okay. So if male is not happening, first of all, nobody should be blamed. Then who should be blamed? This guy. Okay. Anyway, so females are the beautiful creation of our nature, and I hope that we will be civilized enough to appreciate the beautiful variations in the nature, in Mother Nature. Females are the most beautiful creatures, right? So you know that we have chromosomes, and inside chromosomes, we have okay. That is not there in kind of thing. I will just tell you that chromosomes has DNA. Okay. So a helical structure like this. Oops, double helical structure. I am not good at. Okay, maybe I will be doing like this. Okay, the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. They are there where? Here. Okay, and they are carrying the genetic material, extremely complex. Okay. Guanine, thymine, adenine, this kind of biological proteins are there. They construct the DNA, which carries all the character of a person. So nowadays, the genetic engineering is so advanced. You can just the sequencing, you can make DNA sequencing, and you can tell about the individual's many characteristic features, and even you can predict many disease. That it is so advanced that whether a person is going to have a cancer or polyp after so many years, this proper DNA sequencing can do all these things. So genetic engineering is quite advanced, and we know the chromosomes. Now you know the terminologies: chromosomes, mutation. Okay, so mutation is a sudden genic change, right? So if mutation takes place in human, then only the 23 pair will not be guaranteed. Okay, so it may be disruptive, right? And then it give birth to a new species. Mostly people say that if the mutation takes place in biological sphere, means organic evolution, then the species normally die or cannot withstand. But if the species dies, it becomes a new species. If the species survives, then it becomes a new species altogether. And that is mutation. We call mutation. So mutation crossover means during this fertilization, crossover takes place between the genes of male and female, and that's why every individual carries some character which is inherited from parents. Parents inherit those characters from their parents. Like that it continues, and human race carries 46 chromosomes. They are like the playing card, suppling, resuppling, re-resuppling, giving birth to. Isn't it great? Eh? Nature, you see, every individual is different to some extent. So that's the thing I wanted to tell you from organic evolution. So having knowing about how the character transmit, having knowing about the concept of chromosomes, mutation, we will use all these concepts with mother nature practice for evolving its new species and new creatures. Can we use the same process? Can we just create the same process in silico, inside computer, through programming, to crank out optimum solutions of a problem? Is the main essence of genetic algorithm. So in the next class, we will now start off with some example how genetic algorithm actually works. I mean, that way we'll just introduce you with genetic algorithm, then we'll natural evolution simulation we already know, and then we'll formulate genetic algorithm, and then we'll show you how it works, and then we'll do some case study. Some maintenance scheduling problem, they are so complicated. Okay, they cannot be optimized using conventional method, and you will see that using genetic algorithm, how beautifully we can crank out solution for those kind of complicated problem. So with this, I conclude. Stay safe and have a nice day. Bye bye.